Hey, morning traders. Welcome to another session of Market Snapshot. This is Robert, your markets educator. And ideally, we saw what happened yesterday. Inflation numbers came down, and this has reinforced the outlook that we could have some rate cuts in September and probably another one in December. And looking at it, I think Trump must be a happy guy, right? Because he's been fighting for that to make sure that interest rates are down so that at least loans can be cheaper, and that means that will spur the economy, right? Because that's the essence of Trump's policy, which is America first. That means bringing in the manufacturing jobs, bringing in jobs into the US. You can't create an economy when debt is expensive, right? When loans are expensive. So a decrease in the interest rate, then that fortifies his position that, hey, this presents an opportunity for you guys coming to the US. Loans are cheaper. You can borrow this amount of money, build whatever it is that you want to build, and there'll be a return on investment. So that really worked out pretty well. So today we really don't have any high impact news because we are looking at the red folders, right? But then it will be interesting to see what Trump will be discussing with Putin or with regards to Ukraine. They're calling it a listening meeting, right? It's probably Trump listening to what Putin is saying and Putin listening to what Trump is saying, right? So no ceasefire yet, right, with regards to the war. So that means we're still in a place of uncertainty. But then there could be, if you look at whatever these guys will be saying in the meeting. Now consider Russia as an oil producing country, so we could see some volatility on oil, right? That could possibly play out. So if you're an oil trader, just look out for that. Now, with no much technical analysis coming in, with no much fundamental analysis, the only thing we're left with is to do some technical analysis, go to our charts, and identify possible areas where there are opportunities, which is in line with our title, Charts and Chart, right? Look at the charts and then discuss, right, as traders. So let's go to our MT5 and let's see what has happened. So moving forward, you realize that the dollar has been weak. It's anticipating the rate cuts in September, right? And so let's see where the opportunities are. So once again, a good trader is one who makes sure that they've identified fundamental news, because you really don't want to be in a position and then you're caught flat-footed just because you didn't check out the fundamental, the economic calendar, right? You didn't analyze the possible economic news that could wipe you out or even make you money, right? Because it cuts across. But then again, that will be a fluke. Like, you can't explain why you made that money, right? So let's go to our technicals and see where the opportunities are. Awesome. So we have GBPUSD. We'll start off with GBPUSD. So yesterday in our mentorship class, we were looking for buy opportunities on GBPUSD, and the target was here, and we can see price got to our target area and it's going way up. So what are we looking at? Long term, there's still a possibility of a weak dollar, right? So we still expect GBPUSD and the rest of the pairs where the dollar is the quote currency to keep rising. That's a high possibility, right? As we go into FOMC. But then what are the short-term opportunities? Because as traders, we have four types of traders. You're either a scalper, you're a day trader, you're a swing trader, or a position trader. So position traders are buying, right? GBPUSD buy, Euro USD buy, gold buy. Those are buys. USDCHF sell, USD card sells long term, right? In anticipation of the September rate cuts. But then the market will never move in a straight line. We can all agree on that, right? So we'll have episodes where the market is selling to form the higher highs, higher lows. If you're selling, of course, the lower lows, lower highs. How do you take advantage of those lower lows, lower highs, higher lows, right? This is where now you identify possible areas where there are sell opportunities or buy opportunities. Maximize on them. Know when to exit. That's the trick. You must know when to exit. Don't be greedy. If you're going for the 50 pips, hit your 50 pips and walk out. If you're going for the 100 pips, take your 100 pips, walk out, and now maybe enter the long-term trend. Right? So it's very important because it's counter trend trading, CTT. So you must be very wary when you're doing CTT, right? It must be based on confirmations. So let's look at GBPUSD. We were looking for buys. So what is the next move? Now there's something that we are seeing on GBPUSD. Let's remove the analysis now that is done. Those were in the mentorship class yesterday. You remember these analyses. So looking at it from this angle, you will see something. Technical analysis. How do you define technical analysis? This is where you look at past price action to determine future price action, right? So our work as traders is to map out possible areas where there are buyers and sellers. So in our case, since we are buying, it will not be a right fit for you to jump into such a trade, right? So what do? You identify possible sell areas now to leverage on that downside move, right? The lower, the higher high to the higher low, right? Because remember, long term, we are still looking for buy opportunities. We could get to this area, the high of June, right? 37.89. That's almost 200 pips away. 220, 230 pips away. So we should be getting there. But before then, take advantage of the small retracements in the market. So let me look at the weekly. Your work is to just map out possible areas where you have sellers. So I'm just looking at possible areas. Go to the weekly. So let's map this area, this candle over here. Go to the lower time frames. So this whole candle is an order block, okay? This whole candle here is an order block. This one. Let me map out. That one. So that high 35.83, right? So looking at this area, we normally say an order block. In this case, this is a bearish order block, which is the last bullish candle before a major drop, right? That led to break of structure. So this structure was broken. This was a lower low, formed a lower high. This lower low was broken by this candle to form a lower low, right? Now, if price gets to that 583, we should probably see some sellers pushing the market down, yeah, for maybe 50 pips, 100 pips, and then from there we could see a return of the bullish trend. So having mapped that, we go to lower time frames and we identify something. Okay, now looking at this trade on H4, I can see another block here also. This candle here, this is a bearish order block, which is the last bullish candle before I made a drop, right? So 35.72 is also a possible sell area on GBP USD. Okay, now let's look at the RSI as a confirmation tool. The last time the RSI came to the 70 region, which is this move, what happened? GBPUSD dropped. So looking at it from the chart, it was this move. GBPUSD dropped all the way for 400 pips. Okay, so look at it now. Where are we? At the 70 region. Once again, history could repeat itself. And since we've identified a possible area with sellers, our work now is to wait for this trade to get to 35.72, 35.83, then look for short-term trades. Remember, I insist, you'll be counter trending. You'll be you'll be going against that. You'll be going against the trend, right? Because long term we are looking for buys due to the anticipated weak dollar. So having done that, let's look at, we're already at extreme levels even on H1, on M15 we are on extreme levels. So I'll probably want to see how GBPUSD reacts to those areas, and a possible take profit area will be, let me see, today's low. This order block over here could also act as a possible take profit area. Yeah. So once price gets to that 35.72, that 35.83, what I would want to see is a possible bearish move. A possible bearish move of 50 pips, 57 pips, or 78 pips before now the continuation of the bullish trend. So that is what I'm looking at on GBPUSD. A buy to that area or that 583 and then a sell. Okay, that's GBPUSD. USDJPY, we were looking for sales. We had anticipated that maybe we could see a spike up due to the news. You see, no one can anticipate the news, right? It's really hard. So probably I'd projected that we'll get to an area where there are some sellers, but then USDJPY didn't get there. So looking at USDJPY, the weak dollar once again is playing out, right? So let's go to the weekly. We can see how price has been held on the 50 moving average. So if you go back to history, this played out, and this has played out for the past 4 months. 4 weeks, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's some resistance on the moving average. So what does that mean? We are looking for sell trades, and the target could be long term somewhere around here. $146.64. But due to what we anticipate, I still want to see maybe USDJPY come to 144.82. Sorry, 92. Yeah, and maybe we could get to the low of last month, the low of July, 142.66. So let's look at it from lower time frames. Maybe we could encounter some support, 147.16. Last week's low, yeah. This last week's low could act as some area of support. And this is short term, right? Remember, we expect a weak dollar. So just like GBPUSD, this will be like a counter trend trade. You're just going against the trend, short term, and then exit. So maybe we could see USDJPY come to those areas, either here, 147.16, 146.60, or 146.42. So that's probably where I would want to see USDJPY come to. So here we could encounter some support on the moving average, possible bullish move, and then to form maybe a lower high and then drop. Actually, let me try and map it out and see the possibilities that could be here. This is an intraday position. So maybe we could see price come here, then maybe encounter some bulls, and then some sells. Gold, yesterday we were looking for a bearish move on gold. And then of course here there was some support courtesy of the 800 courtesy of the 50 moving average on the daily, right? So this was the reason as to why we were looking for that area of support, the moving average. So clearly gold came to that area, and you can see the rejection, the hammer, and price has been rejected once again on the moving average up here. So what do we do? Let's analyze this afresh. Go to higher time frames. Gold will strengthen with the data. Of course, that means we could see more of buys on gold, just like GBPUSD, the weakening of the dollar, right? So let's go to the daily. So probably I'll be looking at a bullish move to that area. USD card, we had anticipated a bullish move and then a downward move. Yeah, that didn't really hit our target. We had mapped out a possible area of resistance, which is this one, yesterday's high, the high of Tuesday. Sorry, the high of Monday. Right? We wanted to see that USD card get there, and clearly we can see there was some resistance therein. So let's analyze this. So I'll still be looking at sells on USD card. That meeting that Trump will be having with Putin could change because Canadian dollar is affected by oil prices, right? Because Canada is an oil producing country. So whatever happens in that meeting could lead to some volatility on USD card. So the weekly low, the low that was set up on Monday, is a possible buy area. There's also last week's low, possible support area. But I think we should get to the moving average. Yeah, somewhere around there. So I'll be looking for sell opportunities on USD CAD, maybe to that low. USDCHF, the buy didn't play out. So we were looking for sells. So I wanted that buy and then a sell, right? To target these yesterday's high, the high of Monday. Let's get rid of these, go to higher time frames. Once again, the dollar has been weak, so we anticipate the same to continue. Yeah, so maybe we could see some support here on USD CAD or here. But long term, we are still looking for those sell opportunities, but we need to see some retracement. Yeah. What about UT100? We had anticipated that it will get to the moving average. Of course, that didn't play out. Instead, it was held on the these are the moving averages. This is the power of the moving averages when used in the right context, right? So you can see how they acted as support. Actually, I'll be training this strategy today in the beginners class from 8 to 9 p.m. Yeah, we'll be discussing this. So Nasdaq hit an all-time high. Yeah. Why? You see, most of the stocks react positively to rate cuts, right? Because of ease of access to loans for growth, right? And even ease of access, not just for the companies, but even for clients, right? So if you're producing something and your clients have purchasing power due to easy access to loans, see that's increased revenue for your company, right? So if your company is having increased revenue, that means your stock uh, your stock will definitely continue going up, and Nasdaq will, of course, follow suit. So that's the implication of having of that expectation of rate cuts. So we expect Nasdaq to continue hitting higher highs, but there's some point I still expect that we could see some uh, retracements to these lows. I've always pointed these out. These are areas that will need to be closed at some point. These gaps will need to be closed at some point. That one is also this other gap here, right? So at one point in time, Nasdaq will come down heavily. Yeah, I don't know what will lead to that, but we'll get there. And looking at our past, you see the moving average over here, the 800. And if you look at what happened in April, price was rejected on the 800 moving average. So that presents us with an opportunity. When that time comes, then that will be a good buy for Nasdaq. Okay, that's it on Nasdaq. Let's go to AUDUSD. AUDUSD, we had mapped out two areas as possible buy support area, buy areas. This one or this one, just like I've mapped out on currencies. Yeah, different areas of resistance. So GBPUSD has hit our first area of resistance. You can see the reaction that 558, right? You can see the reaction, yeah, a rejection, right? But then, will it be strong enough? I have no idea, but I would still want that 572 is more solid. That 572 is more solid as compared to that 558. Yeah, this order block over here. So let's see how GBPUSD reacts when it gets here. So that's the same thing that we've seen. I normally map different areas. You know, those areas could act as possible support or resistance. So in this case, we had these two acting as support. So let's remove these analyses. Long term, AUDUSD is coming to this high, the high of the year. It was set up in July, right? We are coming to this high. And what's interesting is that you can see a moving average. That's how many pips? 100? No, 71 pips from the current market price. So let's go to H4. So you're still looking for those buys. So maybe we could encounter some resistance around here on this order block, a sell, and then a continuation of the buy. So this is a short-term move. This sell could be a short-term move before continuation of the buy to this high. Yeah, so let's see how price reacts when it gets to that high, which is the order block on H4. This bearish order block, the last bullish candle before a drop that broke this structure. So remember, this is a lower low, this is a lower high. This lower low was broken to form the next lower low, right? So there are some sellers here. Let's see how AUDUSD reacts when it gets there. Let's go to NZDUSD. The same, just like AUDUSD, we had mapped out two areas. This area as a possible buy area from the daily, and this other one on H4. This was last week's low, right? If the news had come out really volatile, uh, there are times, I'm sure you guys have had the experience where the market will spike down almost like 20-30 pips before going up, right? So that was the anticipation of me mapping out this low as a possible buy area. But also there was this other one. So clearly we can see price was held on this one, formation of a hammer, and then the bullish move. Once again, if you've been attending our sessions, you know the moving averages can act as take profit targets. So you can see what happened when price got to the 800 DMA. There was some rejection, right? Because there were sellers on the moving average. A rejection of around 20 pips, but then the bullish trend continues. So let's go to higher time frames, identify possible areas where you have sellers, and I can see one here. You see this one? This is an order block, a bearish order block, right? So this could be a possible area where we could see some retracement before continuation of the sell. Just like AUDUSD, NZDUSD is coming to this moving average, or even the high of the year, right? This one that was set up in July. That's what we want to see long term, that bullish move. And then this is a market. You can take advantage of the retracements. Yeah. So push to that high, then maybe to this low. Or this one. There's a moving average here. So we could get there and then see a possible drop of around 39 pips, 40 pips before continuation of the trend to that high. Finally, Euro USD. We can see an order block here on H4 as that could act as a possible resistance. That one, 1752. Right? Is it far off? I have no idea. But we could be getting to these highs. The high of the year. The yearly high. $17.25 is a possible area where you'll identify some sellers. Short term. Once again, like I said, you're either scalper, day trader, swing trader, or position trader. The market has opportunities for everyone. Yeah. So long term, we want to see a bullish move to this high. The yearly high, the high that was set up in June. Yeah. But short term, we could see Euro USD get to that high, drop before continuing with the long-term trend, that buy. That's it, guys. That's it with the majors, Nasdaq, and gold. Let me look at your questions. Good morning. How does the USD affect the Nasdaq with regard to yesterday's CPI? I think I've answered that, right? Good morning. How does the USD affect the Nasdaq with regard to yesterday's? Yeah, I've talked about that. West also. Are we expecting dollar index to weaken because of September? Yeah, I've talked about that, right? Yeah. This is why, like, if you look at most of our analysis, where the dollar is the quote currency, we want to see buys, and where like the dollar is the base currency, we are looking for sells due to that anticipation. Yeah, a weak dollar. Do you know? Looking at it, even Trump would want a weak dollar, to make U.S. exports competitive. Yeah. So let's see how that shapes up. Someone wants us to analyze the DXY. DXY is more of bullish, bearish. Here it is. So you can see the sell, right? So DXY should probably be coming to these lows. Should be coming to those lows. Any other question? Okay. So thank you, guys. See you in the evening. For those who are beginners, if you're a beginner, don't miss out on our training. 8 to 9. Just go to the description below. You should see. You should see. Let me point it out. Every Monday to Thursday, FX Pesa evening. There's a link for FX Pesa evening. That's the beginners class. The FX Pesa morning is the mentorship class, right? This is for those who are advanced. So yeah. So have a look at that, and yeah, let's see you next week. Make sure to follow the Bullish Banter YouTube page, and if you're interested, if you're a trader and you want us to interview you, please let us know. Right? You've made traction. If you've benefited from our sessions, like you've attended our sessions, the mentorship classes on Zoom, and you feel like you would want me to interview you, let me know. Right? Just send an email to maybe support@fxpesa.com and just request to see Robert, or my email, robert.mbogo@fxpesa.com, robert.mbogo@fxpesa.com. Just let me know, hey, I'm interested in doing a bullish banter with you. I want to discuss the markets with you guys. Yeah, and Rufus, Jesse, and I will take it up. Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thank you. See you next week. Those who are attending the classes, see you in the evening.